What now?
Yeah, just then. Hi, YouTube.
I love you warning me.
Why would I do that? Jeremy's just finishing off some stuff.
Okay, cool. Oh, there we go.
So this will be our... This is 11th, so the next episode will be our 12th episode, which means we've been doing this for 6 months. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 months.
Right. Well, it's older than that.
Well, yeah, but it took us a while to get to a point.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, our first episode was the first of early July, right? First week of July.
Yeah.
So that's just 5 months.
Oh, yeah, actually,
This
yeah,
week
because
is
we're
5
2 weeks. We're a week ahead of where we should be because we had episode 4.5. So we put out.
Wait.
We're
we'd
a week
be
ahead
a
of which
week
week because we
behind
put out the Brave Star episode, and then the following week we put out a full episode. So we actually got ahead of ourselves a little bit.
Think.
But 4.5 doesn't count, so it doesn't matter.
Doesn't count. Sucks.
Doesn't suck. It's done quite well.
It was good. No, it was good. We should do more. We should
should.
live stream them. And you have
Absolutely.
to pay money to see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, what am I doing? July to December is 6 months.
Yeah. I did wonder where you were going with that.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why. I think I miscounted. Oh.
It's been a long week, hasn't it, Jeremy?
It's only Tuesday.
I know.
Wait, no, Saturday. Saturday today.
Sorry, yes, it's Saturday.
Mhm.
Saturday, the date of transmission.
It's Christmas.
2 weeks. 2 weeks before Christmas.
A bit. Yes, we are doing a Christmas themed episode this year, YouTube. This year. As if we hadn't done it last year.
Last year's Christmas episode was crap.
Oh, yeah. I remember the bees.
Let me just put my phone.
Yeah, I
on.
sent you the theme, by the way.
I've got it. It's already. It's queued up. Thank you very much.
Good.
I was trying to
And
teach
the
someone
notes.
how to play GTA Online.
Oh, already?
They wanted to do it, so
Oh, not the 13-year-old.
yeah.
Oh. Oh, no, YouTube. No. I thought you were talking about... Oh, okay.
Oh no. If I ever want a really good laugh, I get them. I get my wife to play GTA because
Shout out.
it's hilarious.
Yes. She is quite amusing. Sorry, I need to speak louder.
Yes. I'll be ready in a second.
Professional quality content.
Yeah, look at us. It's a screenshot for you right there. Right, I'll be with you in just 1 second.
Caption this.
We have questions, by the way.
Do we?
Yes. When shall we have 2 questions? When shall we do questions? Towards the back?
End of the show.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Towards the back. Wing it, like we always do.
No, shh.
Oh, these little YouTube episodes are such a treat.
People are missing out. They don't get many views.
Yeah, a little nugget on the end.
Although
at the end.
the Wurzel Gummidge video, it's got like 80 views.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe not that many, but it's got a
Why
load.
are
It's got
people
way
so
more.
obsessed with Wurzel
I
Gummidge?
don't get it.
And neither do I. I know people. I've met people recently, and I've spoken to them about it,
Really?
like my age, and they know it, but they know the modern one. They know the 2015 one.
That's not any better.
No,
I think it's slightly less abusive, the newer one, but he's still horrific.
definitely. But yeah, I did funny.
Okay, are you ready?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the enthusiasm.
Right. Should I start recording?
I'm going to start recording. Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Now clap like a monkey. Clap.
Hang on. 3, 2, 1, go.
I was spot on my end.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it was miles late on mine.
Okay. Right. I'm ready. I'm going to start the music. Let me do that again and start the correct music.
Races.
It's time for serial viewing. Join us on the couch as we take a look back at old children's television shows and see if they're as good or as bad as they could have been. Joining me on the couch this evening, as always, is Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy. Hello. This week we watched Series 1, Episode 1 of Rentaghost, running from 1976 to 1984. 9 series for a total of 58 episodes, each one averaging about 25 to 30 minutes long. And it covers the recently deceased Fred Mumford as he opens the doors of Rentaghost, a business offering ghosts and poltergeists on a daily or weekly rental basis to solve client problems. Which I think actually is a pretty good idea for a business.
I mean, I wrote that.
Yes, so did I. This is actually a really good idea.
The concept is killer. The concept
is good. All right, okay. Had you ever heard of this? Beyond serial viewing, have you ever heard of Rentaghost before?
Not once.
Now,
Not a single point in my life before we're discussing serial viewing had I heard of Rentaghost.
Now I've got a story here. When we were discussing this, I had a chat with a friend who was really excited. Oh yeah, I can't wait for you to do Rentaghost. And I kind of went, yeah, not knowing what he was talking about. Okay, and I saw it on the list, and I chose it out of the list because I knew it was old and he'd said something. So okay, so this might be good to look at. Never heard of it before. Don't know what it is. Put it on. Probably got about 5 to 10 minutes in, and I thought, hang on. Hang on, this still seems really... And then it all came crashing back to say, oh my God, I remember this. So I watched because I don't know if you did, but I watched the first episode, and then I just picked a random one from Series 7. And I kind of remembered this first one, and then we got to Series 7, and I go, yep, I recognise her, I recognise that stupid accent, this is all coming flooding back to me. I can remember watching this at the babysitters when I was tiny. Ah!
Unlocked a hidden trove of memories for
It was really weird. If you'd have asked me a week ago if I remembered this, it would have been a no. And it's, yeah, absolutely, I 100% remember it.
Weird.
This incredible study in the 70s.
Oh yes.
This
Yeah.
couldn't be any more British 70s if it tried.
I mean, I looked at him and I was like, the camera is really good. Like the quality
Yeah.
is really good. It looks like, well, I mean, it's probably more like early 90s British quality is bad rather than the 90s was good. But that's what I'd compared it to, and it was really good. And I think I kind of ahead of its time. I think about like Wurzel Gummidge was way worse than
Oh
this.
god. Well,
Like the quality.
I made a note of this is that 4 seconds in and I had to pause it and just look at the screen because I was born in 1975 and this came out in 76. So this would have been around in my childhood quite heavily because they repeated everything. So I had to pause it on the street scene. He's just appeared just before the car comes zooming past him because he's a ghost and he just appears in the road, and there's a transit van in the background, and then there's a Morris Minor parked over there, and it's the building in the background, and it's the clear streets, and his flares and the hair, and it's like the 70s. Look at it. This is amazing.
The only thing missing is a power outage.
Yeah, and then he disapparates and reappears inside a rubbish bin for reasons.
Oh yeah. I kind of wasn't fully paying attention in the intro. I kind of had to stop it and like focus.
Well, I don't normally pause these shows. I put it on, I let it play, I write my notes, and there are 3 or 4 times I literally just paused it and just looked at the screen, looked at what was going on, because this is amazing. I love it.
You do?
Do you know what? Yeah, I really enjoyed the sheer 70s-ness of it.
70s-ness, yeah, I get. Other things, maybe not so much.
So, before we get onto those other things, what did you think to the theme tune?
Oh, god awful.
You didn't like it?
Absolutely awful. I wrote the theme song is nasty.
When we came on, I don't know if he was paying attention. I think it was before he had his headphones on. But when we first got on the video call, I was singing the theme tune to Rentaghost at him.
No, I didn't hear that.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
What about the graphics?
Don't even remember them.
They were.
To be fair. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but
they were classic, hand-drawn. It was a hand-drawn clear acetate cell, and that's just kind of slid. I'm waving my hands in front of the camera at the moment, but it's kind of slid across the film as it's being played, so you get this floaty ghost effect and Rentaghost bouncing across the screen with the thing.
To be fair, it didn't stand out so like it was awful to me. Like
it was just bland.
I watched it and it was just like I wasn't really paying attention, so it didn't scream 70s at me.
Well, it was.
That's because I never experienced the 70s.
It was the theme tune that first got. Hang on, that sounds familiar.
It reminded me of the simplicity in Wurzel Gummidge. Just even
yeah,
more
it's
simple.
the 70s.
But yeah.
So, the main character in the first episode, at least, is a guy called Fred Mumford, who fell off the Cross Channels ferry 6 months previous and had died.
Did he?
And yep, that's how he dies. He comes back as a ghost, and he says, it took me a bit to figure out why he's a ghost. Why does he want to run a business? But he states that he was a failure in all of his life. He never did anything. So he wanted to do this. He wanted to run a business and make it successful, and he wasn't going to let being dead stand in his way.
It's just like really weird how they toyed with the idea of mortality, but it's a kids show, so they didn't really treat it as death.
No,
which is kind of fair enough because they're ghosts, and
so they establish. In this first episode, they establish some of the rules for the ghosts. So they can teleport. They all do it. They pinch the bridge of their nose and they blink a blonk and they teleport somewhere else. And they make themselves go invisible. They can pick things up and carry it around, and they can walk through walls, apart from Fred.
Yeah.
Fred can do everything else. He just can't walk through walls, which was... It was a little weird. So he's disappearing, and then he goes to the office and he gets the keys out of his pocket and opens the door. So What?
He's just a really bad ghost, I think, is the point.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think that's part of the joke is that he's failing at being a ghost as well. Now,
I didn't really get that a whole sense of immediate failure, though. To me, it just seemed like he was here and he died, and he was just going to use his time constructively.
by running a business, that wouldn't be my first. If I was a ghost, if I come back and go, "Oh, this is amazing,"
Yeah.
he seems really quite blasé about the whole thing. But
Then it got more interesting when he was with his parents, and I was like not thinking about this as a child. I was thinking about this as an adult, and like the moral implications.
yeah,
of the
that was
fact
quite
he's not
dark.
told his parents that he's dead.
All right,
But,
we're jumping in.
Sorry.
So Fred,
Nobody
he decides to start Rentaghost, and he rents a building, and he hires. He's looking for other ghosts to help him, and he hires them. I don't know how he's going to pay them because he could give them money, but they're dead. What are they going to use it for? Anyway, he ends up with Davenport, who's I think he was a Victorian gentleman, very moral with top hats and greetings, sir.
Quaint.
Yeah, really
Slightly camp.
painfully skinny. I don't know if you noticed.
I didn't notice that.
He was so skinny. And then Claypole. Timothy
Yes.
Claypole, who is a 13th century jester who was from the court, I think, of the Mad Queen Matilda. We find out later in the series. Who's a poltergeist, and he lives up to the jester image. He's very chipper. He jumps around, and he's quite mischievous and
Needs a backhand.
yeah. So Michael Staniforth is his name.
Hang on. I'm recording. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We are recording.
Hello, you're viewing. I'm here to see Jeremy's class.
There you go.
Thank you.
Navigate for the Peak professionalism there.
You need to hang a sign on your door or something.
I know. Anyway, sorry. Start that train of thought again so I can edit out.
So Timothy Claypole,
Mhm.
he was played by a guy called Michael Staniforth, and who's the only member of the cast that appeared in all 9 series. And he also sings the theme tune. I don't know if he wrote the theme tune as well.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, because that name looked really familiar. Having after you said it, and I remember reading it in the credits.
Apparently, he was a talented roller skater and appeared in the movie Starlight Express, which was an incredibly 70s roller skating disco movie.
I've heard of it, never seen it.
He was in that. He was really big on the West End. Apparently, he did a lot of theatre shows and so on and so forth. And he really invested into his character of Claypole. He really... I don't know if you can remember how enthusiastic he played Claypole. He was really quite full
too
on.
much so. But to be fair, I did write down that this feels like a really dodgy pantomime.
We'll get to that. Hold that thought. Well, I watched series 7 out of 9 as well. I watched episode 8, and he is just as enthusiastic. Anyways, so he hires these two. He meets Mr. Meeker, who is their landlord.
Yes.
Yeah, and they've only paid for a week's rent on the office in advance and needs a month, and so they decide to get some money. Fred says, my parents can give us the money. They don't know I'm dead. And this is where it takes a slightly dark turn, because he travels on the train. Why does he go on the train? He's a ghost.
Yeah, I mean...
He teleports there. He could just teleport there. It's very strange.
I missed... The thing about this show is that I didn't really get a lot of the dialogue in the beginning, or, well, throughout the whole thing. I didn't hear it. Like, it was all worded in a really weird way.
70s.
It was very 70s.
Yeah.
But it was very wordy. They were except specific lines, like very specific lines. Everything else, there was just like 1,000 words in everything. So I wasn't 100% paying attention through the whole thing. So
You
I
kind of
ended up
needed
missing
to.
things, like, yeah, and then I got to the train station. Like, wait, why are they going on the train? Was that even explained?
I think he said that he wanted to expose the other two ghosts to the modern world.
Yeah, but
Really?
yeah, yeah, there's better ways of doing that.
So they go up north. Shenanigans ensue on the train. Very 70s old train carriage. But he gets there, and his parents don't know he's dead. So they've got to go. They've got the ghost of their son in his house, in their house. Mother seems like she's not all there, and his
No.
dad's a miserable bastard.
It's a pretty average 70s household then.
Yeah, the whole thing was written. It was a children's show, but it was almost written like a standard 70s sitcom.
Yes, I wrote that down. I wrote this feels more like a sitcom and a family show rather than just a kids show.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Did you get the name of their parents' bird?
Oh, what, Cocky.
Cocky. I'm
Yes,
sure it is
I
Cocky
didn't
the
write it down.
cockatiel, but you've got
Yeah.
this middle-aged 70s housewife yelling, Cocky! Cocky!
I don't think they quite thought that one through.
Well, it didn't. It wasn't. It was a more innocent time.
So they say.
Yes. So he gets the money and they go back and there's lots of teleporting and it gets quite slapstick. Mr. Meeker, the landlord, ends up with a bird cage on his head and it's all a bit confused. Really. So Mr. Meeker was played by, who's the landlord? He's played by a chap called Edward Brayshaw, who was also in Doctor Who.
Was he?
Yep, he was the war chief in the War Games in an early episode, and he was Leon Colbert in the Reign of Terror. I don't know which Doctors they were. I did write it down in my notes, but I obviously didn't save it because they're not there
It
now.
was around about the same time.
I would assume it was
probably
70s, yeah.
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker. Tom Baker was
70s.
late 70s, 80s, wasn't he?
I don't know if he went to the 80s. Possibly. I don't really remember. It was either Tom Baker or Peter Davidson then. But
Yeah.
yeah, it would make sense. I've heard of War Games. I haven't really watched a lot of the older ones.
Well, he's the first Doctor Who connection.
Right.
So as I said, I keep saying, I watched an episode of Series 7, and by that time, Fred Mumford and Davenport had left the show.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Davenport actually passed away in 1979.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I think he did 2 series, but he passed away 3 series. He passed away, and then Anthony Jackson, who played Fred Mumford, didn't want to come back after that. He didn't want to carry on, so he declined. He dropped out of the show. In series, that was explained away as Fred and Davenport wanted to go on an extended tour of stately home hauntings.
Fair.
Yeah. So by episode 3 of the first series, Mr. Meeker finds out that they're all ghosts.
Right.
And he gets a bit freaked out, but as long as they pay the rent, he doesn't care.
Did you not figure that out in the first episode?
No, he thought he was just having a mental breakdown, and
Yeah, true.
it's very slapstick.
Sorry, because he's a dick.
Well, yeah. So when Fred Mumford leaves to go on his tour of stately homes, the business is taken over by Mr. Meeker and his wife Ethel, who then run the business, but apparently hate the ghosts, as far as I can tell. Yeah, so they take over, and it was because you mentioned it was very much like a pantomime. Now, in the first Christmas episode, it was called
Yeah.
Rent-a-Santa. See what they did there? Yeah. It was the 70s. Claypole brings to life a pantomime horse to cause mischief because he's a poltergeist and he can do that kind of thing. But he can't reverse the spell. So this pantomime horse becomes a recurring character for nearly the whole run of the show. And it does get more and more pantomime-like. So you end up with McWitch, a Scottish witch who's obviously just a woman in very bad. She looks like a pantomime character. She's dressed as she is a pantomime version of a witch, and she brews potions and is a sorcerer. And there's Miss Popov, who's a Russian ghost who every time she sneezes teleports herself somewhere.
Okay, that's pretty good.
But then there's Dobbin, and there's all kinds of different characters, and it is very fast, and there's lots of oh no, what's behind you, and it's really pantomime. So
Which is a shame.
yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode. I thought it's an interesting idea.
It was all right.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Definitely
idea.
issues in it.
Claypole was a bit annoying, but I'm willing to go with it, and I wanted to see where it went. And then I watched the later one. I thought it's not funny. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
There's a pantomime horse dancing around. Go on. I was going to say the one I watched later on, the pantomime horse. The Mikas are going on holiday, and Dobbin decides he wants to go with him, so he comes dancing in with a pair of cut out paper sunglasses, a sun hat, and he's got flip flops on. And it's stupid. I didn't like it. Yeah. So, and Dobbin is the other Doctor Who connection.
Dobbin.
Dobbin's the horse, the pantomime horse.
Right, okay, gotcha.
The two actors, because they are actors who played Dobbin, the pantomime horse, they also played an alien called the Merker in Doctor Who. That episode's called Warrior of the Deep with Peter Davison. An alien which looks suspiciously like two men in a pantomime horse costume. I found some references in the internet of it being the worst episode.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
You need to throw that image up.
I will. I'll find it. I'll put a side by side comparison of Dobbin and the Merker. But that just made me laugh.
Yeah. Suspiciously like a pantomime horse.
So Michael Staniforth wrote and recorded the song, the theme song, but he actually had to do it twice because he wrote the first song and he had to rewrite it as there was some concerns from the production crew as it was very close to the theme tune to The Exorcist.
What?
Yeah. So the original one he wrote with the songs was a lot more creepy apparently, and they wanted to disassociate it from The Exorcist because this was supposed to be a kids show.
But it's a theme song.
Yeah, I know.
That would have been great, to be fair. Something a bit more interesting than what we got, in my opinion.
It was a bit bland.
It was just, I mean, yeah, he made silly voices at parts, but that was literally the only part of it.
It was very simple.
There's
There's
nothing
only
else in that
like
song.
4 lines, 4 or 5 lines.
Yeah.
It's not a long one.
There's no melody. There's no no instruments practically.
So this was created by a guy called Bob Block. He came up with Rentaghost, but it was a toss-up between being called Rentaghost, but it was almost called Second Chance. But they figured that kids wouldn't get that.
I mean, I think they might have done. It seems a little bit more dark.
Again, I think Second Chance would have worked if this was pitched at adults.
Yeah.
Rentaghost is genuinely a...
Can you imagine this made for adults nowadays? That would be brilliant.
My very last note is this with the same chaotic energy, but for adults.
Mm-hmm.
It would be brilliant.
Not as slapstick, just more.
I've got no problem with slapstick humour, but less pantomime.
Yeah, this is essentially Bottom. Just without
yes.
the ghosts. Just with the ghosts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Yeah. Bottom is a TV show, a British TV show by, say the cast
Aid
members,
Edmondson.
I forgot their names. Aid Edmondson and
Rick Mail.
Mail. Okay. I just didn't want to get it wrong.
If you've never seen Bottom and you want a good introduction, go and watch the live show, Bottom Live. It is on.
I just spoils it for the rest of the TV series.
I think it was. I think it's on YouTube. I think it's just called Bottom Live, but it is
Yeah,
hilarious. It's filthy and obscene and hilarious. This
It's basically two comedian mates beat the crap out of each other fictitiously, and it's brilliant. Essentially, they're housemates, and they're both weird.
now saying that this with the same chaotic energy for adults. I've said that about nearly every single show we've watched. It should be remade with alcohol, less script, just chaos.
Yes.
I think that just says more about what I want to watch on TV than these shows, but it would be brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, if we talk about the scene I liked,
The most?
the scene I liked from this show,
There was only one.
yeah, it would be the train scene, the one where they're inside it, and there was points in it I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. I see what they're doing there, and I was like constantly on the edge between like annoyance and actual amusement.
So which bit, when they're in the carriage itself and Claypole's
Yeah,
legs
when
would
they're in the
appear
carriage.
or the hands would appear? Or...
The fact that he's all miming it, and, like he's talking like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
convincing. It's pretty good.
So, yeah, while he's on there and he's talking to Claypole and Claypole's annoying him, and instead of like, he's miming holding him, but he's got like a death grip on the back of his neck. He's
Oh,
he's
pull him into the carriage.
yeah, and I mean, that's if he'd actually been there, that would have been really aggressive. But I suppose
Oh, yeah.
it just shows where the character is. That's all they're trying to do. But he's like, "Arr," he's got his hand. That was
just quite-
veering very close to pantomime though.
Oh yeah, but I quite like that bit more so, and it seemed like they legitimately knew what they're doing. The ending was kind of irritating for me.
Why? What did
There's
you?
just little bits in that train scene where they were like, like he'd tell I don't know anyone's name. The jester.
Davenport is the Victorian gentleman, and
Yeah,
Claypole is the jester.
Claypole. He'd tell Claypole off, and then he'd brush his leg like as if he'd had his hand on it. It was just like, but it looked so convincing, and it was really good. Like that was the best part of it.
It's almost. It is very much like some of the sitcoms. You've got it's very 70s. So you've got the funny guy who's trying to not be embarrassed by whatever's going on, and you've got the straight guys sat opposite him. They're the straight men. They're all very serious, not good. That's very 70s. That whole setup.
I find it quite amusing that he kept reiterating the point that he didn't touch the lady.
I didn't touch her.
Like-
I didn't touch her.
I mean, fair enough. He really didn't.
I have a question. Are jesters funny?
No.
No, they're not. I don't. But they are a staple.
The idea of a jester is funny. Jesters themselves are not funny. Because if, like, say, I'm playing a video game, and like you have a costume that you can that's a jester costume. That's funny.
Yeah.
Actual jesters, they're like clowns. It's like,
And clowns are not funny.
yeah, clowns are not funny. Jesters aren't funny.
I get back in the
fact
medieval.
that what they are pushes the comedy value. It's like it's I don't know. It's like it's almost like it's an adjective to describe someone.
Yeah, so they're going to be mischievous. They're going to be
Yeah.
loud, vaguely annoying. I mean, I get that when jesters were a thing or around, they were the television of the times. They were funny people, and people would pay lots of. I have a story about that actually. I learned this from Horrible Histories. The best paid jester, I think he was Henry II's jester. He was somebody the second, Henry II, Richard II. He was called Rodolph the Farter, and he would fart for the king every Christmas. That would be his little thing, and he would make funny noises. And the king was so amused by this that he gave him an estate worth like £30,000 with servants and an income and everything. Just every year he had to show up for the king, dance around, and fart.
The richest jester.
Yeah,
People would kill for that job nowadays.
yeah. But that was it. He was the top of the entertainment tree back in the day. But no, jesters are not funny.
I feel like it's the same thing. Like whenever I think about this sort of thing with regards to history and culture, how it's like changed. Like what is funny now is not what used to be funny. It's the same thing with horror. Like I always reference it to Edgar Allan Poe, like The Raven. It's not like okay, it might give you chills or something when you're reading it, but like it's not scary now. Like
No.
reading The Raven is just like nevermore.
The problem with that bit is that I can just see Bart. Yeah. The Simpsons. I can see
Nevermore.
Bart as a raven going, nevermore, nevermore. And then Homer doing the whole thing, which is a great interpretation. I really like that.
It's really well written. It's a really honestly, there's a reason it's still around and it's still one of the great works of horror. But it's like we're used to worse now, so it's not as impactful. It's the same with jesters. We're used to funnier things now, and things have moved on. Culture has shifted. So jesters were funny at some point. They're not anymore.
I notice in the later series he's less jestery. He doesn't have the hat. He's still wearing loud clothes, but he's not. He's not as in your face jester.
Does he get a mustache?
He's got a beard and mustache anyway.
Does he?
Yeah. It's the 70s. Of course he does.
True. But I don't remember it in the first episode though. I remember seeing basically when I was getting the theme song, there was like a promotional image of all the characters, and none of them I recognized from the first episode. So
you would have got the later ones, Miss Popov and the Witch, and Dobbin would have been in there, and then the Meekers. I forgot what I was going to say now.
I mean, a couple of things that I want to point out. The screen-on-screen action was god-awful. But
that was so funny.
It was so bad.
Yes, it was. It was very bad,
funny.
but back in the 70s, that was quite normal.
It was cutting edge, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it and go, my God, that's awful. And even back then, I would have looked at it and gone, oh, look at that. That looks odd. I wonder what's going on there.
Funny colour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of it was bad. I think the only bit that was moderately convincing but then executed poorly was the bit where he stuck his head through the wall to ask for the time. But it just like slid across like a Star Wars sort of like scene transition.
Yeah. It probably was. It was probably one of those jobs where they've got some mirrors, a mirror set up with a light going on it, so that they just pull it and they just appear.
Maybe. Yeah, it looked more convincing. I think, and there was something else, but I've forgotten what it was. It was the fact that, did he say that it was £30 for rent for a month?
Yeah, I wrote that down. 30 quid, that was a lot of money back in the 70s.
Yeah, well, I mean, how much? Like, this is after the decimalisation of the pound.
Yes. Hang on. Let's look it up real quick.
It doesn't mean the same as it did before, but...
So
it can't be much more than like 200 quid.
In 1970, 1976, wasn't it?
Oh, 1976. So it is that year.
So that works out to. So yeah, £30 in 1976 is £545.
Maybe it is just before the decimalisation, because that was that year, wasn't it?
I don't know. I do not remember.
I think it was 1976.
But that's still quite a lot of money.
But yeah, that's loads. That was way more than I thought. Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't realise it was that much.
Apparently there was. I read somewhere that there was actually quite a few. It was one of those shows where people wanted to be on it, but I couldn't find any reference to anyone famous finger waggle bunny ears going on it. Apart from, do you know who Linda LaPlante is?
there's like a tiny scratch in my brain.
Yeah,
from
she's
that name,
a
but-
crime writer from the 70s. She's written. She was one of those like really prolific crime writers. So she cranked out a lot of books. She was massively popular. She appeared as a ghost nanny called Miss Novak under a stage name because she didn't want to use her real name. Apparently,
They
she
didn't
had a
use her writing
relative.
name.
Yeah, she had a relative who worked on the crew and wanted to be. Do you want to be in it? So she did. The lady who plays Miss Popov in the later series, she was a very big soap actress in the UK. Christopher Biggins. He's one of those faces. I'll find a picture of him, but you would recognise him if you saw him. But he was very huge in the 70s, so he was in the later series as a recurring character. This was let's have a look. In 2008, it was reported that the show would be returning to television after the rights to the
Right.
program were obtained by a company called RDF. So there was lots of noise about, the rights have been sold, they're going to redo it, and then it was never heard from again. And then in 2010, and I'm so glad this didn't happen, Warner Brothers bought the rights, and they still hold the rights to Rentaghost, and they were going to develop it into almost like a Beetlejuice kind of thing, as a
Beetlejuice,
comedy
Casper,
vehicle for
Rentaghost.
Russell Brand.
Oof.
And
Oof.
I know he's very popular with some people. I cannot stand Russell Brand at all. He's in any way, shape, or form. I think it would have been awful. I'm so glad it didn't happen. It was going to be written for. So it was designed for Russell Brand. However, it kind of sat in development hell and never went anywhere. In October 2011, Ben Stiller had been signed onto the project.
What?
Yeah, I know. So I'm assuming by that point it had gone into to be a movie.
Yeah.
Writers Tom Lennon and Robert Ben Garant, who were the writers for The Night at the Museum,
I was gonna say.
Yep.
It sounds like.
had been
similar
hired
sort
to write the script because Stiller had been brought on. And again, nothing ever happened with it.
Kind of glad that didn't happen either because I feel like it would have been a bit too close to the Night at the Museum.
It would have been
It would have gone-
Americanized.
Yeah, and it would have been too similar, and it would have been a half-assed version, I think.
It's very strange. This one needs to stay. There's a good idea in here, but it needs to just be left alone.
I don't know. I feel like this has more potential than Worlds with Gunnage.
This does. The first episode does.
Yeah.
But you've got it's a complete. The reason I did advise. I don't know if you did. I advised you to watch a later one
No, I didn't.
because by the time it finishes, it's a completely different animal. It's very different. It's more pantomime, and they're trying to. It's a lot more aimed at the '80s idea of young kids, and it's not as sitcom-y as it started, which I think was to the detriment of the show. I think it got worse as it went on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree that there's an idea there, and it could be good, even if it's a web series or something. Because a YouTube series, you and I could do this because the effects are not going to disappear. Okay, turn the
Yeah,
camera
true.
off, run out, turn it back. Oh, he's disappeared. We could you could easily YouTube the effects for this now with very little effort.
I like the
yes.
idea of doing a grown-up one.
I think it'd be a good idea.
You just have alcoholic ghosts, homeless ghosts.
Always goes back to alcohol. Oh yeah, and talking about going back to the train scene, I had to pause it again, just as they were on the train platform. The camera kind of pans around, and you're on a train platform, and I had to stop it to look at the people. Look at that guy. He had no idea that he was going to be filmed today.
Oh, I hadn't noticed. I might have to go back and watch that.
Go back, and if you think back to the 70s, you think flares, disco, funky
Oh, yeah.
music, that kind of stuff. If you look, and I remember this, if you look at the train station scene, it's just a sea of brown and beige.
Yeah.
There is nothing funky
Colour.
going on there. It's just really dull. And then because I noticed that on a pause, and I started it, and there's a bit where Fred's walking down the train platform with the other two ghosts who you can't see, they're invisible, and he's wearing, I think he's got like brown jeans on or brown flares, brown jumper, and a green bomber jacket, and it's just like those are very earthy, dull tones. If you did that today, he'd be wearing some kind of flowy, colourful silk shirt, and he'd look like
That 70s show?
Noel Fielding.
Oh, Noel Fielding.
He'd look like Noel Fielding.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I could see Noel Fielding actually doing.
Noel Fielding as a ghost would be amazing.
But,
the
to be
pilot.
fair, he's got the same hair.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Is that like I just saw that hair and I was like, this feels like it must be made in the 80s, but he looks so 70s. It's like so dyed hair as well.
I
Very
think that's the
dark.
one thing we can definitely say about the show. It's 70s. It's a poster show. If the
Oh,
70s had a child, this was it.
Mm-hmm.
In
Definitely.
1989, so this
Wow.
is they filmed a pilot for an Australian version of the series.
Aye.
Yeah, because they wanted to follow the shows such as Are You Being Served and Wurzel Gummidge. They both had Australian or New Zealand releases. So they thought, well, that's been quite successful. So they, and this does make me laugh. It's sad, but it does make me laugh. So, not 89, 5 years after the show ended, they wanted to redo this, and they tried. Oh, can we get Michael Staniforth back to play Claypole? That'd be really good. We can transport him down under it. It could be like the linchpin between the two shows. That'd be brilliant. But he'd been dead for 2 years by that point.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So they thought it all the way through, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Wait, no, he's dead."
Yeah, they had
What?
planned it. They were right. We're going to do this. Let's get in touch with him. Yeah, he passed away.
Overall alliance.
Oh, well, that takes. Staniforth was an openly gay actor, which was a big deal back in the 70s, 80s, and he died from an AIDS-related illness in '87.
See, he wasn't the most camp one, in my
No.
opinion.
He wasn't.
No.
So those are that with the Australian pilot, the September 2008, and the rights being purchased by Warner Brothers have been the three attempts at renewing this. And I can't see this ever getting off the ground in a form that would do the idea justice. I think today's it would be really wishy-washy or just stupid and annoying.
Yeah, no, I don't think they should remake it as it is. They'd have to do a lot of retweaking, get brand new characters in, I think.
Yeah.
But like make them really compelling.
So they were rented out to the living, who didn't seem particularly surprised to be dealing with a company that rents out ghosts. So mansions would hire them to give that, like, oh, we've got a haunted mansion, there's a ghost, like, ooh. Or if they want to, at some point they tried their hand as a taxi firm, a bookies in a kids show at bookies.
Oof.
Yeah, they
Interesting.
tried all kinds of different job roles.
If you're not from the UK, a bookie is a betting shop.
Yes, which is an odd
Interesting.
choice for a
It is,
kids
yeah.
show. Only the first series of Rentaghost has ever been released on a media. It was released on VHS and DVD. There were rights issues which held up anything further.
Oh.
You can see the first two series are digitally on the BBC Store, but that's it. Nothing else has been released. The first two series or three series were actually destroyed by the BBC.
Why?
The BBC had this big thing because it was all film. It was on film, so you got these big rolls of
Yeah.
film, and the BBC went through this. I think it was the late 70s or the 80s. They went through this whole project where they needed to clear up room in their archives. So they just went through and destroyed hundreds of shows. There was loads of shows lost, and it became someone's job. It became a whole department's job of tracking down copies of these things to put them back in the BBC archive.
Yeah.
So the original masters were lost, and I think they found some original recordings somewhere, like in a loft at someone's house. They have all been digitized. What they've got now have all been digitized, so they've got into the archive.
How did you watch the later series then, if they've not gone anywhere? Did you watch it on like an old dodgy VHS recording?
No, I watched. Well, yeah, I watched it on YouTube, but it was obviously a shite recording.
Yeah.
There is. The only place I could find the original recording, the original episode was on. I think it was on a Facebook group. On a video that had been uploaded to Facebook. I mean, there is loads of Rentaghost all over YouTube, but I could just not the first episode.
Even though it exists.
Very strange, yeah.
It's just not on YouTube.
Yeah. It's one of those anomalies that you get.
Maybe because those ones are available. So.
Yeah, well, the majority of the stuff on YouTube is all the the newer episodes, series 7, 8, and 9.
Later.
So, yeah, the ghost powers.
Yeah.
So they kept banging on about psychic energy and how they were getting tired from psychic energy, which I know was just a device so you don't have the characters doing outlandish powers constantly, because for the story we need them to not be able to teleport. Oh, he's tired, he's run out of psychic energy. But that's in the 70s, that's a tool or a thing that's used quite heavily in more modern things. It's almost like an RPG, a role-playing game thing, in that, okay, these are your powers, like you can do these X amount of times. So you got this like about they could teleport, they could put themselves through walls. Claypole could actually do like proper magic. He could bring things to life, he could zap them, he could make them do strange things, where Davenport was just a kind of interact with the scenery kind of guy, or go invisible. But even they found going invisible hard. They couldn't keep it up. They weren't. Do you think they could have done better with the powers?
Not with the technology of the time. Going back to the psychic powers thing real quick, I don't know if it necessarily is related to RPGs or anything. I think it might just be play on the fact that, psychics, clairvoyance, this whole thing, they're all kind of connected to ghosts and, spirit readers. So they'll say that, oh, my psychic energy's attacked, I cannot do any more readings today, or something like that. So I reckon it would be taken from that most. Well, it is interesting how they justified it or normalized it.
I wonder how much they stuck to their own rules in later series.
Well, I just thought it was weird that ghosts had rules to begin with. I was like, I wrote that down. Like, why do ghosts have rules? Unless there's something above telling them they can only do it a specific way.
And what decides that if they can go back to Earth? Because Fred wanted to go back and run a business to prove that he wasn't a failure.
Unfinished business, I guess.
Yeah, but Davenport's been around since the 1900s.
Oh, but he wasn't on Earth.
Yeah, but why not?
Because maybe that... Oh, wait, no, maybe he can't be. I reckon that Mumford, such a 70s name.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah. He really wanted to... he had unfinished business, which is... I think that the fact that he needed to run a business was a play on unfinished business.
Yeah.
And also the fact that the ghosts get paid in being allowed to stay on Earth.
Yeah. So I suppose as long as they can cover the rent, they don't really need any other money, do they?
No, yeah. So I think they just want to be able to chill out and live normal lives for a bit. In the real world again. But it's never explained, so... Well,
no, it isn't. So, like I said, I I enjoyed the show for what it was. I enjoyed the idea behind the first episode. I think I would have enjoyed the first series, but it got too slapsticky and too stupid as time went on. Would you recommend this show to someone today, beyond a historical artifact or someone investigating the 70s?
Personally, I didn't really enjoy lots of it. I enjoyed bits here and there. It just like the concept is good. I just think a lot of the execution was just. I mean, I didn't have any of that nostalgia factor that you had. You know, like it clicked to you, and that probably made you enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It just for the 70 scenes and just looking at look at what they're wearing.
Yeah, no, I mean, like to me, I mean, it just seemed like normal, which was weird. Now thinking about it, but yeah, I don't know how much I'd recommend it. Again, maybe something on the background, but I just think, especially the first episode, was just really wordy for kids.
It was.
It's too wordy for young kids and too slapsticky for older kids.
I think there was enough slapstick in there to keep young. Yes, it was wordy, but it would be. There's a jester there. That's gonna. I mean, it's bright and colourful. It's gonna keep.
Also like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it's 25 to 30 minutes. Every episode was quite long. That was standard back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think nowadays, you know, something Henry's Cat, Trapdoor, all quite short shows and very easily like self-explanatory. They are what they are, and they're quite easy to get a grip on. This, I only watched the first episode, so I don't know how much it changes, but it doesn't feel very like kids would be that interested in it.
No, I agree. I wouldn't bother recommend it. I would recommend it if someone my age should go back and watch it just for the nostalgia. I wouldn't recommend it for kids. It's as you said.
It's like when. Sorry.
It's too long.
It's like when people, when we spoke to people about Wurzel Gummidge, and all the older people loved it, like because they'd been a bit older, or
nostalgia.
like adults when watching it. I mean, nostalgia, sure, but at the same time, that was what was on at the time. That was the average show, right, for adults. So. As well as kids.
Yeah.
Like it was just a family show instead of just a kids show, and this felt more like that. But
yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean,
well, doing the research for this,
nobody has a funny voice really, or nobody has any funny apart from maybe the jester, but nobody has any overtly extravagant features. That is,
I don't know, Mr. Meeker, the landlord, he was proper chewing the scenery. He was overacting for all he was worth.
He was overacting, but he's just a baddie, and he's not even that much of a baddie. He just wants.
He's just a grumpy adult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of love for this. Doing the research and looking up the trivia for this, I come across several forum posts and even things on IMDb. There is a lot of love for this out there for people slightly older than me. Well, yeah, probably 5 years older than me. A lot of love out there for Rentaghost. But again, I think you're right.
I've never heard it before, ever.
I thought I hadn't.
I don't know anybody who's ever heard of Rentaghost. Like, you hadn't heard of it. I mean, you had, but you hadn't heard it.
I'll put something up on Instagram. I'll put a poll up in there.
Yeah.
People from the UK or people from outside the UK, have you ever heard of this? Because we've got a fair few listeners in Australia. So it'd be interesting to see. Australian listeners, jump over to Instagram and fill in our poll and tell us if you'd ever heard of this before. I'd love to know.
Yeah, and then watch it and then say whether or not it would have survived in Australia.
Before we rate...
Does she remember it?
Who?
Your wife?
No. Nope.
Not at all?
Nope. It was one of those... Oh, it's vague. That's a lie. She vaguely remembers the name.
The year she
it was the year she was born, yeah.
Yeah, so like about the same time as you.
Yeah. So by the time it ended, I would have been 9. So that's old enough to remember. It would have been around.
You were like perfect age.
Yeah, I would have watched it. I guarantee.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I remember. I know I did. I just don't remember. I just don't remember. I didn't remember that I had it. My brain had completely deleted it. So before we give our final ratings for Rentaghost, we have 2 messages this week.
Yeah.
Rachel, hello Rachel. Rachel contacted us through Instagram at the serial viewing. She sent a direct message. She wanted to know when we're going to do Gem and the Holograms.
Season 2.
So season 2, because you've asked, and this is it, hint hint, because you've asked, we will put it onto the schedule for season 2. So within the next 6 months, I guarantee we will do it.
Yeah, within the next 6 months.
Yeah. Well, we're giving ourselves plenty of padding there, but yes, we will do Gem.
In the new year.
Yeah, we will do Gem and the Holograms, just because you asked. Thank you for that. And Mark, no last name given, contacted us through the contact form on our website. With just it was a very quick question. He wanted to know what dates we cover, how we pick the shows that we pick.
Oh,
and I'm sure we've said it before,
excellent
but just
question.
anything prior to 1995. So if it started
be
after 95, we won't watch it. I think the oldest
after 1960,
1960, 1965, yeah.
60s to 65.
If it's any older than that, there's no point looking at it because it will just be
they're
puppets.
just going to be like, all silent film and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
so-
just like, whilst it might be fun one day to do, say, something like really old Disney cartoon that's like really like, I don't know, racist or
Ooh,
something.
yeah, that's a good idea. We might
That's a
we might
special
bend the rule
episode,
for that
though.
one. Yeah, we'll do a special for
Yeah.
that one.
Well, not necessarily Disney, just first name Republic.
No, I like that
But,
idea.
yeah, we pick those. Like with regards to the actual shows, we kind of went. Well, it's kind of how serial viewing became a concept. We were looking through during lockdown, YouTube, just like the old kids intros, and you do it a lot. You go through
do.
and watch all kids shows intros, and they remember.
I
Like,
think
feel nostalgic.
I think I was showing you the obvious ones like Fabulous Cities of Gold and Ulysses 31
Yes,
and that kind of thing. That's where it kind of grew
ones
out
I
of.
hadn't heard of. Mm.
Can't wait till we do Ulysses 31.
And Terrorhawks as well. Terrorhawks helps to inspire this.
Yes, yeah, because my other half is a huge fan of Terrorhawks from back in the day, and she's spoken about it for years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we choose the episodes partly on ones that we want to do. So Trapdoor,
Yep.
I was very keen to do Trapdoor, and that just ended up being our first episode.
I'm so glad we did that. As the first episode.
Wurzwell Gummidge, we did Wurzwell Gummidge because I wanted Jeremy to suffer, as I have
Yep.
suffered.
Same thing as why we did DuckTales, because I'd never seen it, and it was my sort of generation, and you hate Disney.
Not being a
So I
fan of
wanted to
Disney,
make
he punished me.
Disney.
But yeah, so basically, we do have a list. The list is about, last time I checked, is 189 shows long, with more to be added all the time. We've even got some Polish, Lithuanian, and some Russian shows that aren't on the list. They're on a special list, so we're going to do
I
a
think some
non.
Canadian shows as well.
Yeah, we're
all
gonna
sorts,
see-
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
so
specials, some
basically,
international specials.
we will try and we'll try and pick a mix of ones that we want to do, and ones that we've never heard of before on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, thank you, Mark. Hope that answers your question. And thank you, Rachel. We'll be watching Gemma and the Holograms for you soon. You can get in touch with
That's
us.
a name I've heard of. But I'm really interested.
Oh, as a musician, you're going to love Gemma and the Holograms
Oh, no.
because they're a band. You can get in touch with us, as Rachel did, through Instagram. You can direct message us there. There are a couple of different ways to get in touch with us through the website. You can leave us a contact form. There's a little contact form. You can leave a message there. You can leave a voicemail, a 2-minute voicemail. You can email us directly, serialviewing@gmail.com. We're on Twitter. There are many, many ways to get in touch with us, and we would love to
Basically,
hear
give
from
us
you.
Social media, we're there.
Yes. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. If anyone else has any questions or suggestions, please let us know. So, Rentaghost, out of 10, what would you give it?
I would give it. See, I don't want to be too harsh, but again, I feel like you're gonna give it extra nostalgia points. So So I'm gonna give it a nice solid 4 out of 70s.
4.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm a little surprised. I didn't think it was that bad. So, well, yeah, you're
that
right.
Was pushing it up as well.
I'm not giving. Well, yeah, all right. I'm giving it nostalgia points because I've really enjoyed just seeing how 70 it was. I enjoyed it. The first episode I watched, I genuinely enjoyed it. It's a good concept, little weird for a kids show, but yeah. So I gave it a 7.7
out of 770s.
Out of 70s. Yeah. 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 It was a good show.
There was just a nagging feeling deep inside that this was just slightly irritating all of the time. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the jester. I've forgotten his name. Like, nobody
Claypole.
remember the name.
Mr. Claypole. He calls him Mr. Oh, that was a very 70s thing. Everyone was Mr. Claypole or Mr. Davenport or Mr.
That's
Meeker.
Claypole, Davenport. But so apart from Mumford, it's because I wrote it down.
So combining our two scores and then averaging it out, that gives it a total score of 5.85, which I think is fair.
Yeah. Plainly average for the 70s.
Go and watch it just for the crowd scenes. And I recommend you, Jeremy, just check out 5 minutes of an older episode, a newer episode. I keep calling them older one, a more recent one, just to see how different it is.
I'm curious to see the contrast.
Yeah, because it is wildly different. So that was Rentaghost. Thank you very much for joining us. Please go check it out on YouTube. It is or on YouTube or on Facebook. If you will need the link, let us know and I'll send it to you. It's worth it, even if it's just a study in history. Our next episode is an exciting one. Our 12th episode. The end of our internal series. We have 12 episode series just for our own housekeeping. Jeremy, do you want to tell us what it is?
Yes, it is going to be Transformers.
Autobots, roll out!
And this one I'm going to be hosting.
This is all your baby. I'm really excited for Transformers.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be a big one.
Any excuse to watch that show.
Don't need an excuse. That will be coming out, unless it's entirely possible we have got this wrong, but we've worked it out that will be our Christmas episode. It is coming out on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas Day.
Hang on. Wait, no, yeah, it is. Definitely.
It is,
yeah. Yeah, definitely coming out on the 26th of...
So all you people, you get new phones, new iPods, is that still a thing? New podcast, whatever, new devices.
Boomer.
I know, I'm sorry. You can enjoy us on Boxing Day.
Yes.
We'll be there with you.
Please do. It's our little serial viewing gift to you.
Because we're cheap and we're not giving it us. Talking of Christmas, there's plenty of time. I've just lowered the prices on our shop.
Woo!
I don't know if anyone's noticed.
Flash sale.
You can get T-shirts, face masks, phone covers, cushions, mugs, hoodies. I think there's a bag. I can even do you a towel if you really wanted.
Also, don't forget to tell your loved ones that you really like serial viewing and you want our merch.
Yes.
Because they will buy it for you for Christmas, maybe, possibly. I can't guarantee you that. No returns.
The link to our store, we do ship international around the world, so yeah, check it out. There's a link to our merch on our website, serialviewing.com. Just click on the store button at the top and it will take you directly to it. It's good stuff. I may have purchased a few items to hand out to family and friends over Christmas.
It better not be me though.
You never know. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We will catch you for the next episode 12, Transformers. Say goodbye, Jeremy.
Yes. Bye-bye.
If your mansion house needs haunting, just call Rentaghost. We've got spooks and ghouls and freaks and fools at Rentaghost. Hear the Phantom of the Opera sing a haunting melody. Remember, what you see is not a mystery, but Rentaghost.
and we're clear. And so you sent me a 30-second clip for the outro there. That's it. That's the whole length of the credits. The opening credits is 30 seconds long. That's it. There's nothing else.
The theme song's quite a bit longer than that.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a minute and a bit. I think it's quite long. I don't know. Maybe they used the beginning and the same thing.
The bit where you cut it is pretty much where it ends for the show. I'm going to stop my audio recording now. Just
good.
There we go. Welcome to the post show.
Post-processing what? 70s to the 80s. We're going to multi-effect.
I genuinely enjoyed that. A lot more than I thought it was going to.
I knew it was going to be a long episode when you said you enjoyed it.
I want to talk about it. Although I did keep drawing a blank several times. Just blur.
Yeah.
I had a brain fart.
Also, love that little blooper of my housemate, YouTube. He may or may not feature in an episode. He really wants to feature in a specific episode. I think I talked to you about it.
No.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to you.
Oh, yeah, we should do it.
Yeah. It's a big one. I'm not going to spoil which cartoon it is in the post show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited about that. We should do that.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be quite a big one as well.
Really? Oh,
I mean, the actual episode, the actual show.
I'm all excited now. Jeremy and I are going to be getting together. We're actually going to see each other over Christmas.
Hey.
And we're going to take that opportunity and we're going to sort out the playlist for our next series. So yes. So.
Oh, sorry, the track list.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the show list.
I was like,
I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? Yeah.
Yes, we should organise it a bit better. And basically, it's just so coincidental that we decided on 12 weeks and then missed one specifically, non-specifically, sorry, Freudian slip, non-specifically, so then it would end up on
I know what you're
Christmas.
talking about. It's completely planned. Completely planned. So, let's bang out the back of the box cards.
Mm-hmm.
So, theme.
To sort those out.
The theme song, the opening credits. How did you feel about them?
Oh, low 3.
3? Oh my word.
I really hated it.
Why did you hate it? Is it because it's so simple? I mean, it's not sung particularly great. It's like a harpsichord over...
It's nothing. I think the 70s is the worst time for theme songs as well, especially in Britain.
Which is because when we watched Wacky Races, which is 60s, that theme tune was banging.
Yeah, I guess the production was quite high on that. That was Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
So that was height of. Like,
That's true. You've got to remember
60s
that
golden
British children's television didn't have a huge budget. It wasn't seen as a big thing.
Doesn't excuse it though.
Well, I'm going to give it
There's
11.
great music coming out of England in the 70s.
I'm going to give it 11 just because of it was the first thing that triggered the memories. It was the first like, hang on, I do know this. So it was there, but yeah, it wasn't particularly well sung. It was
Wasn't
quite
well
simple, so I
sung.
can imagine people will remember it quite well.
Wasn't well made. I don't even remember how it sounds. And I got you the theme song.
It's very twinkly.
I just remember it being really bad.
It's very twinkly. So that gives you a grand score of 14, which is abysmal. I feel we're getting more and more harsh as these episodes go on.
I'm good with that. We need more extremes on the cards.
Education. Was there any educational value to this?
Don't.
I'm going to give it some bonus points, just as an interesting slice of history.
Oh, mustache count. Sorry.
There was only
His
2.
dad had a mustache.
3. There were 3. Oh, that was the most.
Yeah.
I'll put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Mustaches. Everybody write that down. Mustache times 3, and then I'll put pictures to them. Pictures of the tag.
Yeah. Spot the mustache in a scene.
Yeah. So I'm giving
I'll
it
bet you in that huge scene. Sorry, there's going to be loads of mustaches. Anyway, yeah.
I'm giving it bonus points because it it was educational for the wrong reasons. It was a slice of beige that was the 70s.
Oh, it's like a retrospective,
Yes.
like time capsule.
Yes,
That's-
yeah.
That's not gonna work for me.
Oh. Well, I'm giving it 13.
You can have that. In fact, to be fair, I'll go 11 for this one.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's not like they did anything offensively uneducational, like Fireman Sam and the Ladder.
Do you know I've been mentioning that constantly for the last week.
The fact that he,
It's your own fault, you twat. Why are you on the roof with no harness?
God's sake, Sam.
So how weird do you think this was?
I mean, it wasn't that weird. There were no real weird in it. It was a very safe way to do it. If that makes sense. It was quite.
It could have been a
weird
lot
when-
weirder, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite weird when he didn't let his parents know.
Yeah, I'm going to give it bonus points just for that, because that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty messed up if you think about it.
And the whole paint on the landlord's face in the cage got a bit confusing. That's so weird. I was like, wait, no, so they can teleport people to them instead of...
Yeah, that must get annoying.
Yeah, really annoying. But, yeah, no, I'd give it... I think it's an averagely weird score of, like, 17. Just below average of weird.
17, you reckon?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it a 15 because it wasn't that weird. It's only getting the 15. Actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. That's going to get 20 points because not telling your parents you've died, going back as a ghost to borrow money off of them, and
That's
not
just
seeming
a bit
particularly
of a
fussed about being dead.
Shitbag.
Yeah.
A bit of an asshole to his parents, to be fair.
Yeah.
Failure in life, failure as a ghost, failure in being a decent person.
And how at some point he's going to have to fake his death, even though he's already dead.
He's just going to disappear again.
Well, yeah, because he's dead. He's not coming back. Then one day, oh, you're not going to get married. I would, but I'm dead. You can have children. Ghost knob.
To be fair, he's still physical, so in theory he could just do everything that a human does.
Apparently, it's a running joke in the series that because he sees his parents quite often, is a running joke in the series because he's a ghost and can't eat, of him trying to hide or throw out food that his mother gives him. Running joke with a,
Kinda, yeah.
you know. So 37 for weirdness, which is it's not bad. It's better than some we've had.
Better.
Impact.
But we're going to be quite divided on this one.
Yes and no. I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first.
I'm going to give it a 22
Okay.
because because I do remember it. It took me a while, so it wasn't that great. But I'm going to also give this for everyone out there who does have the nostalgia, because I've done the research, I've done a lot of digging, I had trawled through some forums, and it is remembered. I just don't remember it. So it's more of a... I'm giving this one the benefit of the doubt for impact.
Fair enough.
So 22, and it ran for 9 series. 8 years, that's fairly impressive, even though it was only
It's a long
58
time.
episodes.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So it's impressive that they have no cultural impact.
Yeah, there's nothing lasting. I didn't mention the show, but I was looking for like merchandise and spin-offs, and there weren't any. The only thing I could find was an annual released in 1983, the year before it ended. Just
one annual.
one annual. There was no others, and it was just pictures of the cast on the cover and stuff. So the
Yeah.
cultural impact is minimal, personal impact minimal, but I know that there are people out there who love it. So this is for you, people.
You want to know mine?
1.
It is 1.
It is 1.
Yeah.
Called
It's
it. I
only
just
1 because of serial viewing and because you've mentioned someone else saying to do Rentaghost. That's the only reason they got a 1. Otherwise, it would have been 0.
That's fair enough.
Had
So-
you not mentioned that person, because you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of the first things when it was one of the first shows that we were talking about. When I was telling him about the shows, the first things he said is, "Oh, you've got to do Rentaghost." I'm really excited for Rentaghost. In fact, I'm going to have to contact him and let him know that we've done Rentaghost.
And to be fair, it's had no impact on the 70s or 80s either.
No.
Because it's exactly how they were already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a slice of the 70s. I can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will. I'm not going to say I'm never going to watch this again because I might go back and watch episode 2 just because I'm curious. But we'll see.
Want to establish it a bit better.
Yeah, yeah. We try and watch these the first episode of each one because it introduces the characters. We're not just going into a completely cold going, what's going on? Because I think that's what we were doing when we first started serial viewing. We were just picking a random episode and going with it, and we were lost because. Well, I wasn't because I know what most of these are, but you were definitely saying, "Oh, I don't know who they are. I don't know what's going on or why they're trying to do this."
I still don't remember anyone's name except Mumford.
Which surprised me
We've just
because
done
they
an
said
hour- we
it
just
to each
talked
other.
about it for an hour.
Yeah, they called each other their names constantly.
Nah, see, I didn't even get that.
Anyway, that was Rentaghost. You never have to think about it again.
I didn't hate it. I just
didn't
thought
care.
it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just left no impact on me, and it left no impact on me or impact on the environment around it.
Well,
so I apologize for all the diehard fans out there, but
I
look,
would love to talk to you, diehard fans.
yeah,
Give me your
where do
memories,
you exist? Do
please.
you hang out with the Wurzel Gummidge fans, or do you have fights in the street?
They should be beaten.
Which one's
in the
better?
streets. That's a bit dark. We will counteract this episode by watching Transformers. I'm going to make the Transformers sound effect a lot. And I apologise now. There'll be lots of... Autobots, roll out.
Indeed.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know which episode. Are you going to go for the first one?
I already know which episode.
Oh, you've already got it, have you?
Yes, it's an episode that I have watched. Like, it's an episode that I watched in my childhood that I remember.
Right.
So I haven't watched it recently, but it's a specific episode and it's one of my favorites. I think. So
Is
I
it
wanted to
within our
see-
time frame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Just check.
Yeah, it
Just
was in
check.
the 80s. Yeah.
Oh no, there's been a lot of Transformers.
No, I've only watched the first version of Transformers. Nothing after the movie. And the movie was like 85.
Anyway, it's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good
I mean,
one.
just doing the merch and the video games and the tie-ins is going to...
Oh, yes.
Do you want me to do the video? Let me do the videos. I'll do the videos.
You want to do the video game?
I'll do the video games. You can do everything else.
Well, I played the video games growing
All
up
right, you.
as
All right.
well.
Do you know what?
No, you can do it. You
No,
can do
no,
it.
no, no.
That way I can talk. No, you do the video games.
All right,
That's fine.
because there's going to
Really
be a
wanna do
shed
it.
load of them.
This is gonna be. Should we make it an extra special Christmas end of the season 2 hour long?
I genuinely think we're going to just. It's going to end up doing that anyway. I think we're just going to end up talking for hours.
Yay.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us for the after show. Join us for Transformers. They're
Indeed.
robots in disguise. Did you know?
Robots eating pies.
Hey, that's my line. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Henry, Jeremy, join us next time on the couch for Transformers. We love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.